Thanks for joining us for tonight's final segment. I'm Tyler White. In our first segment, we talked about the nationwide race on Saturday. And in the second segment, we talked about the truck race. But in this segment, we're going to talk about the Cup race. We're going to look back from the race on Sunday, plus take a look at the points, show you what you can expect. Plus, we got a special TV tune-in alert tonight. So you want to stick around for that. Brian Vickers, your winner on Sunday. That is his third Cup win, the first since Michigan 2009. Congratulations, Brian. Kyle Busch second, Jeff Burton third, Brad Keselowski fourth, Eric Almirola fifth. Jimmy Johnson was supposed to start second but failed post-qualifying inspection. He came back and finished sixth. Kevin Harvick seventh, Carl Edwards eighth, Matt Kenseth ninth, and Jeff Gordon finishes 10th. Now this has been a long road to recovery for Brian Vickers. Started off winning the nationwide championship for Hendrick. Then Hendrick says, we're going to move you up a bit, go to Cup Series. 2004 and 2005 doesn't go out so well. But in 2006, he gets his first Cup win. Just made a big slip-up, however. I mean, he accidentally wrecked Jimmy Johnson and Dale Earnhardt Jr. Just misjudged it by this much, but still got his first win. However, Hendrick wasn't good enough to impress Hendrick, so he moved over to Red Bull Racing. Got his second career win at Michigan in 2009 on fuel mileage. Even makes the chase in 2009. Finishes 12th in the final point standings. But 2010, we thought it came to worse because he had a blood clot and was out for the rest of the season in 2010. So he races again in 2011. However, more bad news. Red Bull Racing shuts down. So leaves Brian Vickers without a job in 2012. So Brian Vickers says, I'm going to do a little racing in Europe. If you need me to run a few NASCAR races, I'll be back. Well, and then we see something interesting. Mark Martin only runs part-time. And Michael Waltrip's only going to run that 55 car for both races at Talladega and the Coke 0400 at Daytona. Leaving Michael Waltrip to put someone else in the other races that Mark Martin doesn't run. At first he says Elliott Sadler, but then Elliott says, no, I'm not ready for that. And then puts Brian Vickers in the car. And then look what happens at Bristol. Finishes in the top 5 that day. And I was at that race that day, and I was really impressed. And when I left the race that day, I said, he's gonna win a race sometime soon. I guarantee you that. And he did win on Sunday. And personally, I think, Michael Waltrip should run a full-time schedule with Brian Vickers next year. Give him a full-time ride, and if he does, Brian Vickers will make the chase again. He wasn't a big factor in the chase in 2009, but he will be a big factor in the chase next year if he runs full-time. That's my bold prediction. And also my bold prediction, Mark Martin will get a win in that 55 car, and so will Michael Waltrip. Because Michael Waltrip ran so great at Daytona in the Coke 0400, and Mark Martin's been running good too. So I wouldn't be surprised if all 3 drivers get a win in the 55 car. A look now at the point standings. Jimmy Johnson, the points leader. Clint Bowyer, second. Carl Edwards, third. Kevin Harvick, fourth. Dale Earnhardt Jr., fifth. Matt Kenseth, sixth. Kyle Busch, seventh. Greg Biffle, eighth. Brad Keselowski, ninth. Casey Kane, 10th. Martin Truex, 11th. And Jeff Gordon, 12th. Now, for guys 1st through 8th, they're going to be okay. But for guys 9th through 25th, it's on like bing bong, Jack, as Cy Robertson from Duck Dynasty would say. For those drivers in 9th through 25th, this is exactly what the Showcase Showdown is to the Price is Right, or what Final Jeopardy is to Jeopardy, or even the final round on the Weakest Link is. I mean, it's so big, it's the most grueling part of this. The Showcase Showdown is the most grueling part of the Price is Right, the most dramatic part. Same thing for Final Jeopardy and the final round on the Weakest Link. Same thing for NASCAR, because these guys, it's so dramatic on who's going to make it and who won't make it. And it's even dramatic in the chase, too, but this is also dramatic. Who's all going to make the chase. And only 2 guys can make the wild card. For every other 10 guys, they made the chase because on how good they ran earlier in the season. But the last 2 spots for the wild card, and if you didn't make the wild card spot, too bad. You're going to have to wait till next year. Now, the Cup Series will be off this week. I know we're not celebrating a national holiday this week, but they need time to rest because when we get back from that off week, it's going to be nonstop racing from Indianapolis to Homestead. And that's grueling. So let's go ahead and let's let them have the week off this week. But next week, it's going to be on like bing bong, Jack, as Cy Robertson would say. And we have that special tune-in alert. Brad Keselowski will guest star in the brand new sitcom Sullivan and Son. You can catch that tonight on TBS. Very funny. And a lot of NASCAR drivers have appeared on television shows throughout the years, because NASCAR is the second most rated American sport watched on national television. And it all started with Jeff Gordon. Jeff Gordon was a key fixture to the hit talk show Live with Regis and Kelly, because whenever Regis Philbin couldn't be there, Jeff Gordon would mostly be the co-host. So he was a big part on making that show famous. Jeff Gordon has also been on Jay Leno, David Letterman, Craig Ferguson, Jimmy Kimmel, and Jimmy Fallon. And of course, you know where I got there. That's all of the big late-night talk show hosts that come on our television sets every night. He's also been on all of the national television news programs. He's been on NBC Today, Good Morning America on ABC, CBS This Morning, Fox and Friends on Fox News, and CNN American Morning. So he's a key fixture to national morning news talk shows on television. And he was also on I Get That a Lot on CBS earlier this season. Or earlier this year, I should say. He was on there in January. Jimmy Johnson was on the hit NBC series Las Vegas one time, where he acted. You had Clint Boyer, Carl Edwards, and Austin Dillon, who were on The Price is Right, who was up there on the stage with the models presenting the prizes. And also, Clint Boyer was on Duck Dynasty. And Tony Stewart was on Undercover Boss on CBS a few years ago. So, the reason why NASCAR drivers have been on these famous television shows is because NASCAR is the second most watched sport on television in America. So, be sure you have your TVs tuned in tonight. I mean, I've never watched the show Sullivan and Son. I've watched Sanford and Son, but not Sullivan and Son. But I will be watching tonight. All right, that's our broadcast tonight. Thank you for joining us. I'm Tyler White. Only one race this week. It'll be the NASCAR Nationwide Series on Sunday afternoon, live from Chicago, the STP 300. And we're going to be back here on Friday to get you ready for that race. We're going to have a weather forecast from Fox 32 in Chicago. Plus, we'll have the latest top stories going on in NASCAR. And we'll look back from that episode of Sullivan and Son with Brad Keselowski. Until then, I'm Tyler White reminding you, for you to do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Have a great night, everyone.